What's up, everyone? Today I wanted to talk about Cursor. Cursor is a AI-enabled code editor that is actually built off of any IDE specified. So I have mine set up from VS Code. So it actually imported all my Salesforce extensions, Salesforce CLI, and I was up and running fairly quick. So I wanted to review Cursor features, go over pricing, and then together we'll create a quick LWC in the video. So to get started, Cursor has three main features. It's got a tab autocomplete feature. Well, it will guess what you're trying to write and predict it pretty quickly. It's very, very nifty. Find variables in your file, help you with writing debug logs quicker, and so forth. So take a look at that. It also has an inline editor and a chat editor. So just to get started, this is a paid subscription. You do get a 2-week free trial. Otherwise, it's $20 a month for 500 fast requests and unlimited slow requests. You don't want to pay the subscription and actually specify endpoints to the LLM of your choosing and just pay by the tokens you use from your LLM. So if you use it a lot, subscription is probably cheaper. If you don't use it a lot, maybe the LLM route would. So let's go ahead and open the editor. We can get started. So I already have an LWC with the XML file configured where it's exposed and set up for Lightning app pages, record pages, and home pages. I also have shells of a Apex class and a test class. So let's go ahead and start with the Apex class. We will use, how about we use the inline editor first? Create that. Pull back. I'll just specify what fields. Product and family. So we'll go ahead and press generate. And it wrote the function for me. So here you could actually do follow-up instructions. We could say, and I'm just saying, instead of the exception, just create a debug log with the message. And there we go. So that's all it really took. So go ahead and save this. Great, now let's work on a test class really quick. So here we'll use actual chat. So we want to say create a test. So one of the cool features, I could give it access to a file that you're not on. So I'm just going to tell it to review my code at files and pass in our product table class. And we'll go ahead and ask the AI to create our test class for us. I asked it to use best practices, use a test setup function with the correct annotation, and we'll see what it comes up. You can see it's already generating it. It's using the test data setup. It's creating 2 records and calling our function and asserting on. Go ahead and apply this. Continue. And great. So let's take a look at this. We have a private function with our test data setup with 2 records. It is calling our Apex method and asserting on the size, so making sure we brought back 2, asserting on the name and family. This is a ton of asserts for such a simple function. You could probably just get away with 2 or even 1, just to make sure the code is not complex, right? So we don't need to have crazy validation on it. So we could just live with the 1 for now, and we'll go ahead and deploy this. So now let's start working on the LWC. Here, we will ask it to create a HTML table in a lightning card. I will column what I want to display. So let's do name, product, code, and family. Ask it to style it in Salesforce styling. And I'll tell it to make sure to use best practices. Okay, so it's working on the HTML. It's using the lightning card. You can see there's some SLDS classes, so it's styling it in Salesforce styling. Adding my row, adding comments for additional rows. Great. And it did not create the JavaScript controller for me. That is fine. And we will just ask it a follow-up question. JS code and call the method in table. So here it'll generate this pretty quickly since it's pretty simple. And we could take a look what we got. So it looks like it called my Apex class. It's setting up variables for the product list and the errors. Great, this is good to me. Go ahead and accept these changes. Right, so it imported wire and track decorators. It's calling my Apex using wire function. If we get a successful response from the data, setting the product, setting error to undefined, otherwise, so if we don't get the data back and we get an error, it's setting the error and setting the products to undefined. And in a later video, we could talk about JavaScript error handling and stuff like that. So we won't spend too much time on that in this video. One thing I also wanted to review before we step away from the code editor is the cursor settings. So here in the cursor settings, you can specify rules for AI. So these will be the rules the AI LLM will be following. So I just have always use best practices. There's a privacy mode that you can enable or disable. If you have the team subscription, you will not be able to disable this. So it'll always be enabled. You could select what models you'd like to choose to have access to, and you could specify your LLM keys if you don't want to use the subscription and just want to specify your own key and pay as you go. One thing I forgot to show in the chat, there is drop downs to specify what model you would like to use. So if you want to be more specific and use like an Anthropic model versus an OpenAI model, you can go ahead and do that. Another cool feature is you could actually search your code base. So let's go ahead and demo that really quick. Please And then the search code base is, here's the button, or you could just do control and enter. This is really nifty if you're working on like a complex project and you wrote some functionality, but you don't remember exactly where it is. So you could specify like, hey, find this functionality for me, and it'll print it out. So here you could see it printed out all my product 2 references. One cool feature about this is if I click on one of these, it actually opens the file. That's pretty awesome. And now let's go ahead and look at Salesforce. So I already have that LWC embedded on this page. So let's go ahead and refresh and see what we got. Everything correctly. Go ahead and refresh again. Boom, there we go. So we have our product, our product code, and our family. So you can see we created this LWC with a table very quickly, fairly efficiently. I mean, something like this wouldn't take us too long, but it saves us time looking up documentation and stuff like that. So yeah, a few more things I wanted to talk about. Cursor is a great tool. Like AI has been the craze for some while. A lot of developers are scared AI is going to take over programming altogether. I don't think that's the case, but I think we're going to have to leverage AI products and get really good at working with AI products to stay ahead of the curve. Another thing I wanted to mention, AI is as smart as you prompt it to be. What I mean by that is if you ask it to write me some simple code, it might just give you a bad answer. But the more specific you are with your prompting, so if you're like, hey, I want this data table, I want you to follow best practices, I know of some Salesforce function that I want you to use or some annotation, if you give it that information, it'll actually generate a better answer for you. So that's my advice to you. Make sure you are prompting it correctly, giving it as much detail as you can for that scenario, but also keep in mind, don't overwhelm it with detail. Don't send it 1,000 words being super. Have some requirements that are very complex. Maybe think about parsing it out, like doing it in small. Hey, I want you to do A, B, and C, and then ask it another question like, oh, that's great. Now can you add this and that? So hopefully this helped. Like I said, AI is here to stay. Cursor is an amazing tool that could really speed up development and make you more efficient while creating Salesforce applications. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or reach out. I'm always happy to hop on a call and discuss anything AI related, anything Salesforce related as well. I will link the Cursor website in the description, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next week.